Hi Omar, how are you?
Good. Glad to be here
Welcome.
on another episode.
So I was thinking if we talk about AI or cinema or your field and how it is affecting all of us in a positive or negative way. What do you say?
I heard about this field that is struggling. There are like less jobs, and that YouTube is taking over everything, all the attention of people, and this social media, but especially YouTube
Yeah,
is huge. And now another like blow is this AI, which makes everything like different, easy. Of course, it's not like still like refined enough to get like something like entirely AI or like a lot of it like AI to but like there is a lot of like amazing content already, which
yeah.
is like AI. It's like wow, this is
You're talking about
crazy.
soda, right?
Yeah, that's one of it. Sora, but even like music, for example, they're like, man, it's like this is. I mean, I didn't listen for a long time, but still, it's impressive, you know.
From AI?
Yeah, yeah,
It, yeah. There are a few companies like Seven Labs. No, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right. Seven Labs, 11 Labs. Them, but I think what I see, yeah, cinema is going through a very massive change, but I don't think it's dying, it's changing.
it's changing. Yeah,
It's in,
because in the end of the day, now these AIs are still tools. You know, they will recreate whatever we so whatever. So they will not be like original. You know, the human is still gonna be there. You know,
yeah,
they're not there yet. You know, to
yeah,
create. But the thing is that cinema is like an art, and humans they live for art. Like this is our purpose actually, because if we believe it or not, everything that we have we do is for art. Like the fact that we go to work to like get money, like we buy a car, it's art. We choose the car because we like how it looks, it's
mm-hmm.
art. Products the same, they are art, you know, like we love a product because it looks in a certain way, it does certain things, even the mechanics behind it. I mean, it's in a way an art. What we love to do when we relax, like we read books, art. Watch cartoons or whatever, art. Movies, art. So clothing, everything we do, like furniture, paintings, and so the art itself is like a big part. It will never go away, and it's what makes us like human, I guess, or
I think
higher beings, I guess.
it's not about going away. I think like how I and many people are taught about cinema, like you have a director, you have a cinematographer, there is a whole team like 30 people behind the frame, and it's working like how you saw Lord of the Rings. They came in like 5 series. They were massive people,
Yeah, yeah,
and then you have what Interstellar, Inception. So when I went to film school, we were taught like this way, and of course I grew up looking like these big directors like Kurosawa, Hitchcock, and like David Lynch and stuff. But I think if they were born in this current day and age, I think they will utilize AI a lot. Like I was talking to you about the German
yeah.
director
Yeah,
Werner Herzog. Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, yeah, if you want to make films, just learn how to forge contract, go to jail.
Break
but
rules.
but I think that's why it's becoming so hard. Like when people say there's no jobs in cinema, I think they don't want to transition to new dimension, a new space.
New way of thinking, of
Yeah,
doing things.
because
Yeah.
you're shooting with a cinema camera. Before cinema cameras was like RE, they are like this big and the lens is this big. You need people, and now we are just like the camera is there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly make things easier. Like me myself, I don't know how to create art at all. Like I'm -1 in art and stuff. Like
Yeah,
all my like cooking, drawing, anything. Like, all my stats are like in martial arts and fighting. So This is, but I do appreciate like art a lot. This is probably because I'm lacking so much in all these like writing, artistic drawing, or anything like cooking. So I appreciate even more
Mm-hmm.
people who do it even a more like a little bit more than me. But I, for me, it's such a big thing because I'm, so
Yeah.
for artists it's even more. I mean, I'm amazed and I really appreciate and enjoy the things that they are doing. So yeah, I mean, the art will still be there. It has to, how to say, the creativity. It's still is still there, and people are doing amazing things. But yeah, I guess it's transitional, and still to be. I mean, it's also according to the trend, of the consciousness of the collective consciousness. You can say in a way what people want or they don't want, what is like going to happen, what is like the trends. So this one is still like in a, yeah, it's like a limbo kind of now. It's a transition, like you said.
Yeah.
We don't know what people want, what things are. It's so much information, so many things going on that you actually don't know what you want or you don't want anymore. You know.
No, I think like art first it was like managed by a few people and now it's like
Yes.
democratizing.
Yes.
But there's a downside in democratizing as well. You know, like the Studio Ghibli
Yeah. Yeah.
trend where everyone was making pictures, convert them into Studio Ghibli with ChatGPT, and then Miyazaki, the guy who made Studio Ghibli, was painting every frame with the hands. He was like, no, he said like it shouldn't be democratized. So even when you are like doing this thing, you should have like you should create something fresh, not an existing idea, and then you're just like. And also, it was without consent, so there's also a downside of democratizing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I know from my brother, who's an artist, I know there are like certain principles of harmony and beauty, like about objects, how they look, how so there so stuff that, like for example, ancient art, like the Renaissance art, which is like inspired from the ancient world.
Yeah.
It was beautiful then, it was beautiful in the Renaissance, still is beautiful today, probably in 1,000 years will still be beautiful. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there is stuff like that much I know, so like these universal beauty standards and stuff, of course they were like unique from culture to culture, like Egyptian, Greek, like Indian, and all other like Maya ancient cultures, like, or the Babylonian and Sumerian. They're like, they had similar thing but like expressed differently, but the art was still amazing nonetheless, so um, I guess, yeah, like you said, it's like a good side and a bad side, but in the end it's like a tool, so eventually it will balance itself out. Like human is still new, we don't know how it will be, what will happen, but my idea is that it will allow for more art to be expressed, actually, because it's a tool that, like, instead of staying like you have an idea and it takes years, if ever, like somebody has an idea and then they can't go to art school to learn all the crafts, the techniques, or whatever,
Yeah.
so they will like just give up. But these tools, they will allow you to skip that, just go to the creative part, so it will allow for more stuff to come, and then from that one people to use it to create even more things, which are amazing. So
About the art school or film school, I'm kind of against these bodies because all they do is, I mean, they're not. I don't think so. It's worth it to go to art school or film school or design school. Yeah, if you're studying engineering or medical or something, you should go. But me being myself, I think film school has has done nothing in my progress. To be honest, it gives you conditioning first of all, because you're analyzing films. You're like, if someone says something like, "Oh, let's make another Transformers," you will be judged to the core and stuff. And I don't know what's your opinion on this is, but I personally think you shouldn't go to film schools or art school or design schools, any schools, in terms of art, because again the point is art is subjective,
Yes.
and they have the same structure for everyone, and it's not the case. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, um, it's true. It's not the first time I heard this, that art school is like it conditions you. I mean, my brother is like was always talented in drawing and stuff, so he did go to art like high school and then university, but he never liked that thing that they conditioned you, you know.
Yeah.
But he always enjoyed like mastery of art. So now in this like Western art school, from what I understand, they teach you like this, like to be creative and stuff. It doesn't matter technique, whatever. Like, it's just to create, which is fair, especially now with these AI tools, because you don't need like mastery in itself
I don't think so they teach
to
you to be creative. I
to
think
create. I mean, as
no, I
I'm
think
saying, what my brother
I
like
think they
experience.
they cut down creativity. I don't think so they teach you
Yeah,
creativity.
I'm saying like I don't know. I'm saying what he experienced, what he told me. So I
uh,
don't know. So they said, oh, you have to do like crazy stuff, you know. So he was more like said, oh, I want to learn like techniques, like mastery, like for example in ancient times, like these things, the objects or like statues and stuff took years, you know, or like glass, you know, like for example, these glass makers like 10 years of experience or like an apprentice, you know, the master is like 30 years and then you're like a master glass maker, you know, so this much like expertise, you know, like to so it was not so much of a creative, but the mastery itself to create it took a very long time, you know, and it showed, you know, in the craftsmanship. So he loved more of this things, you know, like the technique to do it, to how to. So in a way, that's like some of it can be taken out because, for example, in drawing, you know, it can take a lot of years of practice to get like to a
true.
certain level, and even that time, you know, like. But now with the AI, is like gonna do it, and probably again with like 3D printers and stuff like that, you know, it can mimic. But there are some things it cannot mimic, you know. So these things is not gonna go away, you know. It's gonna be just like a tool to be used, but the art itself, the craftsman, it will not go away. It's true that to make like a living and stuff like that, you need to be like practical of what that which artists always were struggling with that because it goes like against the art itself, you know. So they
You
were
know,
always.
like
This is why I appreciate actually so much the artists because they have this desire to express and they are willing to go through all of these hardships in a way to express that, you know.
mhm.
So I really appreciate because I couldn't do that, you know, and I wouldn't. I mean, I don't have also this type of inclination, but I appreciate and I understand the sacrifice, you know, that goes into that art and to express and to be like fearless to do all those things. But now nobody, I don't know what to say about this AI. It's gonna be like a transition for sure, but you know, like anything in nature, uh, like this art is an expression of nature, so nature's always win. You know, even if like 90% of whatever species they get extinct, more powerful ones will come eventually. You know.
I I I personally like how, on this point of like your brothers, of your saying like 10 years or 30 years, we like I really respect these kind of people. I don't know if you have seen any films from Daniel Day Lewis. Have you seen Lincoln? Have you seen Lincoln? 2012.
I don't. I think
There
so.
Will Be
I'm not
Blood.
sure. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
2007. Um, so like what he does is when he's an actor, when he gets in a role to play, he goes and he lives like that guy. So
Ah, yeah, yeah, I heard
like
about
there's a
that.
film called My Left Foot where he's handicapped on the wheelchair, so he was like that. And then in Lincoln, he's Abraham Lincoln and stuff. So we appreciate that as well. But the point is now, I think the time is changing, and also like we have to break down the conditioning and egos as well. So before if you are like a master of something, now you have to master like more things than just spending your whole life in one thing. And when you become an artist, it's like there's no demand or supply, like manager, there's no demand and supply. If I'm becoming an artist, it's for me, it's not for everyone. The
Exactly.
society doesn't demand my films or something. But if you become an artist, you need to learn how to market yourself, how to be your own manager, and how to be your own like I call the technician part, like when you draw.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But those are three people in one. That's why I think I also struggle a lot. I really struggle a lot, and I think AI is sort of helping in that. Like it's downside, but AI is sort of, because yeah, again it's a tool, but I think that's why people are like really struggling in terms of art field.
Yeah, but that was always the case actually. Very few, even from ancient history and stuff, like artists, they were always like struggling because they, for example, it was time consuming, so not everyone could afford like to learn, and even if you learn it, then it costs a lot of money, like that place or city or whatever, they had to
Yeah,
have lots of money to afford like art and all the materials and everything. And I'm talking like about the ancient times, and then in the Renaissance and stuff, we know like we have all these things because of the rich people. They could support actually that type of level, of art, or monarchs or kings or whatever. So it was always like a narrow field, which only like, I don't know if the best, but the people who could last and
mm.
they were like good enough to meet that and got the chance, to be there so they can create those monuments or great masterpieces. Or so, yeah, in a way it's kind of a living things, you don't know
Living
what's gonna
process.
happen, who is gonna be or what and why.
I think the change is good because when there is a change, the new artist or new people, they pop up, and the people who are like on the top, they kind of fear change, and then like it's a cycle. Um.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that film, I think Babylon, or
Ah,
where
Damien
that
Chazelle's
yeah,
Margot
where
Robbie. Yeah,
I think that one where
it
they
flopped.
changed I don't know, but the point is, for me, I saw like when they had these movies, like with the subtitles and stuff,
Yeah,
and then sound came, and those actors are like terrible for
yeah,
like sound, and like
yeah,
but they were like so good for that, like expression. They were like
yeah.
masters of, and then their voice was like,
I still remember, like in my hometown, we had two photo studios. So one photo studio and another photo studio. This was called Bharat Photo Studio. This was called Ram Photo Studio. So what Bharat was doing, like there was, so he was focusing on film cameras in the 90s and 2000. Did like you guys have film cameras, right? I
mm,
mean, the whole world has had film cameras where you like take 35 pictures, the reel goes to like the
yeah,
studio,
yeah, yeah.
the negative comes out, and then so he bought. So it took like 7 to 8 days to get the photos back to you. So he bought like a massive machine, like a machine of like whole room, and he just installed it. And so the power of that machine was, the machine can create negatives in like a day or so. So you get your pictures in second day. But he installed that in 2008, 2008 or 9 when the film was going down
Yeah.
and digital cameras was coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
And what Ram did, he installed this. He didn't install the money, but he put the money and bought new digital cameras like HD, 4K, and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff,
And printers and stuff.
and printers, and like he bought like computers, and he appointed like editors, filmmakers, and stuff. Like he started with those camcorders, like those
Yeah,
camcorders like in the start, and now that guy is like excelling, and he's like bankrupt right now because
yeah.
he didn't change. So I think with this film, like how like a friend came is, I think with this is like what how we are taught in film schools and before is like you make a film, you go to an investor, producer, you make a film, and then you put that film in cinema halls.
Yeah.
So there's no producer and there's no audience in cinema halls
Yeah, yeah.
because cinema halls can become like aqua park right now, and people will be more happy.
Yeah, I really don't know what is gonna
Cinema halls
happen.
are
I know.
with the streaming. I think streaming killed cinema halls.
No, I don't know what happened because see, like, I really don't because myself, like I was going with friends, having like, it was just for fun. It was not even about the movie, You just go out, like have a movie, hang out. But now it's just not happening for some reason. I don't understand even why.
When is the last time you went to cinema hall?
Last year, I think. Last.
What film did you watch?
Uh,
Oppenheimer.
don't remember. No, I don't remember which one I watch because it's anyway like this mainstream one, but I can't remember now which one.
My
What was film.
Can you give me the question? My problem, like the answer is simple. Like how much do you pay for your Netflix?
Netflix.
Like
I don't have Netflix.
yeah, I mean if you pay for your Netflix, it's like what like
£14, I guess.
something like that. And
Yes.
and if you get it from India, you
Yeah.
pay like £1. And if you want to get it like and if you go into cinemas, it's £15. So there's a cinema like down this road in Crystal Palace called Ritz Cinema, and the ticket is £18. It's an expensive cinema. But if you go to view or stuff, it's £6.
Yes.
Still a lot. A lot. You can't like that's one of the main reasons why cinema halls are dying.
Yeah, but I mean the experience is still amazing in the cinema.
Yeah,
so.
but it's for you, right? It's not majority of people they
Yeah, it's true because now actually is right because now I'm like I play video games since like since ever I can remember, like 90s and stuff. So I've been through all this like consoles on TV, computers like Pentium from the I don't know if the viewers know what they are like from the back old days, so technology evolved so much. So the screens and TVs, they are like so advanced now, and all the processors and everything that it's like, and the refresh rate, and I'm not like good, I never put it in, but like they are so good that it's like, yeah, they look, and if you want to go all out now, you can guess like with £2,000 you buy like a projector, dark room, whatever, you can make like a
projector
fancy cinema at home, like
buy like Dolby Atmos surround sound speakers.
4K something
4K,
like this.
and then,
Like,
it's as simple as that.
it's
Yeah.
that.
Cinema halls, they never changed, and the main problem is when you go to cinema halls to watch a film, the stuff which is inside like popcorns, like that's how they make money, charging a lot on popcorn, charging a lot on like fizzy drinks and stuff. They're also so expensive. People, they're not. I mean, they're not going anymore to cinemas. It doesn't mean cinema like in films are dying, but
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe they should change the experience. Like to.
no,
have
they are
more-
like they are trying to change experience, like
Yeah.
creating 3D and then like 4D.
No,
5D.
even about this one, like change the experience, put some things, I don't know, like to,
Go on.
no, like to have like, I don't know, like, I'm not good for like have like different stuff cheaper, like people to go for other stuff, not just the film, like for some foods or some which are like affordable or
Yeah.
something to attract people, like or to give them a nice experience. Like I don't know, like
When I go to cinema, major 90% of the people are cinephile, like hardcore cinephiles
mhm.
or filmmakers. Only 5% go just for recreation purposes. Before it was a lot.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
me and my family, when I was a child, we used to go because it was a vacation for
Mhm.
us to go to cinemas to watch it and stuff. Because there was no access to films. Cinema was the only accessible point, right? And now, like cinema, so like you got like a film is released, then arts, and after like 8 weeks, you can get it on like OTT platforms like Netflix, streaming services. So
No, I mean, for example, yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't think like me. I had access to it because I'm like Romania '90s, hackers communities, and, no choice, like it was too poor to afford. That was the reality. So you had to be like ingenious. So I had like, I mean, we had access to anything you want in the world, like digital, so no hurdles. So, but we still went to cinema and stuff. It was the experience.
yeah.
But probably it had to do like, yeah, also with the, because you, even the most advanced technology that time, you could not like even close to recreate like a cinema hall.
Do you
So
remember any film which you watched during the childhood, like which you're like, whoa, what is this? Like, whoa, something.
I mean, childhood, yeah, I remember I loved these martial arts Chinese movies. I went like in
Bruce
here.
Lee's and stuff.
No, I don't know, like these Chinese movies with martial arts. I don't know. I went to Iraq, like in Iraq with my dad, like in the cinema hall. And it was this like old Chinese. And I was like, no, I want to watch this. And then they didn't have, because also that time was like Iraq after the first Gulf War. So it was like embargo, like no food, no biscuits, no eggs, no like nothing. So I remember we ate like bread and parsley. It's like a snack basically. Like it's like the poorest, cheapest. Like this was what was there in cinema. But I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, that was such a cool experience. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course in Romania, I remember when they were this comedy movie. I was going like a lot to cinemas, like in the 80s, I guess. I was a kid, like these cartoons, like movies, Tom and Jerry and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was like a fun, super fun time, an awesome time. And even that time, like Romania, Iraq, like in the 80s and 90s, like the equipments were like totally different, than after when they put all these, I don't know, Dolby and K for like all this
4K, 4K. Yeah.
4K. No, I don't know if it was 4K. I don't know what, like
In
the
the 80s,
new,
and I don't think so.
no, not 80s, but like in the 2000s and stuff, when these like new cinema hall branches worldwide. I know there are like some standards about it,
Yeah.
with these new reels, like all these things, like it was totally different than those
Mm.
back in the day, so chair seating, like I remember like in Romania there were some almost abandoned cinemas, we went, like they were like in the movie, we were sitting there and they were like mouse racing, under your feet, like mice was like racing, like, so yeah, but that's like, then they close it down,
Yeah. Now it's not the case. Now it's just mines. People are gone. People. I chose a career and I'm dying. No, I mean, but I've seen like the films which are released on YouTube by some of the YouTubers. They are pretty six like much better than what's happening. And I don't know. I mean, what was the last time like you were interested about a film coming out? Do you remember like the last film?
I think it all went down in the pandemic for some reason. Now, even
I
before
know
the
the reason.
pandemic, because I was like quite up to date with all these new games, anime, movies, shows, and stuff, so I did consume a lot of it. So I did realize that like actually shows, you know, like episodes that they can show more details, so they are already like nicer to watch, you know, especially, you know. So and then the movies became less and less the ones that they could capture and give you that like
Hmm.
content, emotions or whatever. But then after the pandemic and probably this Netflix boom where they invested a lot, so these TV shows, they were like awesome. We had like a lot of them and still are like amazing ones. So probably the film couldn't compete, you know, like and
Yeah,
that,
I
you
mean,
know.
it was COVID, and then I think it all boils down to social media.
And probably the standards because the social media, all the social media like shows and all these things, they raise the standards so much that like what film can you make, you know, like to be up
Yeah,
to that level, you know.
and also like good amount of people, because what I have feel as well, like cinema is a very closed community, like who are on the top, and they don't allow anyone to come up. And of course, and you have to be very good and lucky and everything. And also like there's a huge amount of like if you know some people, you can go really high,
Yeah, yeah.
and if you don't know, so in a way it's good because many people transitioned to Instagram, YouTube, and they started making their own series,
Yes.
own stuff, and yeah, I think that's pretty good. And I think with now with this Sora, what I'm thinking is if I have an idea of shooting a film in Antarctica, my pocket cannot allow me to go to Antarctica and shoot. So maybe I generate some of the clips and then shoot some
Exactly.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff here in my house. But I have to use my brain a lot, but somehow create that XP because cinema is faking, it's cheating, right? Like
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
cheating.
Yeah.
So somehow create that and then put it out. There are people who will appreciate it, like for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
There are, but I think it's the change. It's the change here, and I think for me, I can say film school is one of the biggest roadblocks because you invested so much money, time, and stuff. You're not ready for the change. Like you're like, oh, I want to shoot in films. I want to do
Yeah, I
this.
mean, I don't know what they teach you and stuff, but for
No,
example, from my
I can tell
university
you.
experience, for example, I studied like history and archaeology and transportation management. So the thing is, yeah, if you take it like whatever they taught you and stuff, you say like, oh, it's getting nowhere, you know. But it's also about your perspective because I always understood, and one of the first thing like a teacher told us, you know, like this, they say here you are learning like science, you know, you are learning how to learn. You're not learning the actual history or something because for sure there is somebody else like who's obsessed by it and he knows more than you know, like in terms of raw knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not what you're here, you know. So from that, the guy was like a professor, so like in America, and he came like for a few lessons, and then I from that time I changed my career because I realized that it's actually you need to learn the principles, you know, like the principles of the thing of filmmaking or whatever, like history. Or, you don't need to be stuck in that dogma or whatever. So I never thought about. I mean, I did have disputes with other like PhD students and stuff, but in the end, I I don't regret, and I benefited a lot, you know, from that school because you still like okay, you didn't learn. I don't know, like didn't make you like ready or like to take a next step or something or how it is like because also archaeology is like nobody's doing it anymore because no funds, nobody's interested, no nothing is happening,
Mm-hmm.
and even if you go, it's like paid very less and work a lot, so it's basically not worth it. But the principles, you still learn them, you know, the principles, and they are valuable, you know. So even in this, for example, what I was thinking in this film school, like I was amazed when you're explaining, like, oh, the cameras, the lens, you focus, this happened, they used, I don't know what camera to film that thing, you know. That knowledge itself actually is valuable because it allows you perspective to use new things, you know. Because if you don't have that background to know, uh, I mean, you can still do stuff, but it gives value and perspective, you know. So those things are still valuable, you know. What people
Mm.
did in the past, how they did it, how they because even though they did some things, you know, in a certain way, the principles are still there. The principles don't need to use the same thing, but the principles are still there, you know.
Yeah. I mean, because I went to science school to do my masters in chemistry. Then I went to film school to do my masters in filmmaking. Your thing about principles and about values and about rules and regulations, it withstands it in the science, because what Newton's three laws of, like, I did quantum chemistry, right? So the laws of quantum chemistry, or like Maxwell's principle, they will remain the same no matter which perspective you see them, because these are equations. Now there will be like equations forwarding, like, oh, I think he was wrong at that side, so it's a new one, it's a new one, it's a new one, like what happened with the model of like molecules and atom structures. In film schools or in art schools, I mean, I can say about film schools, if you're obsessed enough, you don't need film schools,
Mm.
for sure. My reason why I came to film school was to get out of India. That's one thing. But I wanted to know more about it. But I was obsessed enough to learn about films that I learned, like the films which they were talking about, I've seen it long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I was expecting something else, how I was expecting in chemistry, because all these principles and everything was pretty new to me. So we enjoyed it. But in film school, and now I'm teaching films, so I think it's just a way to make money, until like they will they will like suck money until the very end, because
Probably, yes.
because the point is, like, you have Samsung, I have iPhone. If we understand light, if we understand shadows, if we understand contrast, if we know framing, if we know composition, you can make good films.
I understand that, but the thing is, it's true, but you
Yeah.
still need a master to teach you, but not to teach you, because even if you know, so for example, you are talented, you know all these things, lighting, you don't know that you know how to, because you need like confirmation. For example, you knew all these things,
Yeah.
but you didn't realize you knew them until you came to an actual film school and they taught you the same thing. And it's like, actually, I knew that, but you didn't know that you know. If it does
I mean,
make sense, you know?
yeah, it's a
To
nice
be
way to
like
put it.
qualified. To say like, yeah, they taught this, so they put it in order because the master, like the teacher or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
he went through the whole process. He understood like from the beginning to the end, you know? So you need this many things, skills, whatever, knowledge and stuff to be this person or whatever, cameraman or whatever those roles are in the movie set or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have that one, you know. So unless you go like get not certified, like until a master or somebody who knows, they tell you like, yeah, you know, then you don't know, you know. So simple, yeah. That's true. Also, I when I went like in management, like school, you know, I was already a general manager for 5 years, you know. So I knew a lot of stuff. So they were teaching us like, yeah, I know it, but they reinforced because I knew some things, but you're not sure. Like when you discover yourself, you say, man, it's cool. I know these things I discovered, but you don't know if it's the whole story, there's something to improve, or you're doing something wrong. No idea, because you just know that, you know. But then when you go to like a school or somebody else is like who is like certified by a group of people who did stuff in the world or something,
Mm-hmm.
then you understand, you also get to understand your level, some things you already know, maybe you know better, or you something to complete, and even if you're just there, it's still like a confirmation for yourself that okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
mastered it.
I
This
mean,
is how you can be like you're a teacher now.
yeah.
You had to go through the school to become a teacher because otherwise you wouldn't know what you should know, you know, or what is there, where is what, you know, even though you know it before that. But you
Yeah.
could not be a teacher like, oh, I'm from the street, I studied film. And...
But like what I mean, this
But
trend in films. I mean, now you can learn
now I
science.
understand
Yeah.
with your point that I do agree that you don't have to go to like a accredited school, like to actually have a diploma and go through the whole process. That so much I agree because I myself study a lot, but for my own pleasure. I don't want to go like, oh, diploma, get a certificate that I'm like that, you know. You can consume science and knowledge without like getting the diplomas and stuff and all that things, you know. It's for your own pleasure. So I do agree that you can, if you are already talented and skilled, you can go through it much faster or without paying so much money and stuff. You just learn on like from somebody online or from like this, and you get like that. You can start working, you know, like in
Yeah.
film and doing, and which people are doing actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Many
Yeah.
are doing like, and
Many are
they're
doing.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was true for many things, you know, like businesses.
I think
The guy had
it's
like
getting true now for
two
like
classes.
sciences as well. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with AI. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
it's not still there, but I think if you're obsessed for something,
Yeah, yeah,
you can.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah.
you can.
There were people doing genetic experiments, like with these 3D printers. Somebody made like a prosthetic arm or something, like from
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
own,
Yeah.
which you know, like so. So yeah, this science is like just a tool, you know, but the creativity is still up to the individual and the
To the
human, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so the more advanced tools you have,
The
the
better you can
more
execute.
options, yeah, you have, and the more
Execute.
people can participate and to do stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, me myself, I'm waiting for an AI that I can train myself, you know. But you know, still.
Which can like put diapers and stuff.
yeah. Yeah, like which have like a, or mimic like a personality and stuff, and which can grow. I'm sure. I mean, it will come to that. You know, I'm sure
No.
there are already, but like it will be like more defined and mainstream and
Okay. Well, yeah, it was good.
yeah, and eventually probably in this creative space there will be like times where these with these tools and your own, it will be like kind of everyone will have their own realms or realities in a way,
I mean,
but also in the same time like they would interact and be like from one to other and stuff like that, you know, like,
we'll keep that for part 2 of this podcast. Anyways, it was nice talking to you.
yeah.
Yeah.